diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
You are watching the World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I am Parmeshwar Bava. Let's begin with the top headlines you need to know. Cap's Cafe, a newly opened restaurant opened by popular Indian comedian and actor Kapil Sharma, came under gunfire attack in Surrey, British Columbia. This attack comes close on the heels of a spate of extortions racking South Asian community in Vancouver. Meanwhile, the US's top diplomat says he discussed new pathways for peace in Ukraine with his Russian counterpart while voicing the White House's frustration with the Kremlin. During the frank conversation with Russia's Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of a summit in Malaysia, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio conveyed disappointment that Moscow hasn't been more flexible in peace talks. Mohammad Javad Larijani, a former senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, has suggested that US President Donald Trump could be attacked by Iran while sunbathing at his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Florida. A delegation from India is expected to visit the United States soon for trade talks, as per our sources, as the two countries look to iron out disagreements over duties for auto components, steel and farm goods. Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel and Hamas will likely have a 60-day ceasefire, which adversaries could use to try to end the war. Let's begin with the latest from Canada. Well, Cap's Cafe, which is a newly opened restaurant opened by popular Indian comedian and actor Kapil Sharma, came under gunfire attack in Surrey, British Columbia. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, at least 8 shots were fired at the cafe, and police officials say the motive has not yet been determined. Meanwhile, Harjeet Singh Laddi, an operative of the banned terror group Babbar Khalsa International and one of India's most wanted men, listed by the National Investigation Agency, has claimed responsibility for this attack in a social media post. before the latest details, let's go right across to my colleague Maha Siddiqui, who joins us live from Surrey at the moment. Maha, take us through the latest details that have emerged.
Parmeshwar, I'm standing at the 120th Street, which is where Kapil Sharma, the comedian, has foraged into his new venture. In fact, a new business entirely, that of running restaurants. This was the restaurant that already had a soft launch. It's called Cap Cafe. And this is in Surrey in Canada. As you can see, the notice here says it's open because technically it was supposed to open and the soft launch had already happened. But the incident that has taken place early this morning at 1:50 a.m. is what Surrey police says is when they received a call saying that there has been a shooting outside this restaurant is when, in fact, the Surrey police came and started investigating the matter. I'll just give you a peek inside the cafe. As you can see, it's all done up beautifully in white and pink. And that is one of the reasons that it was gaining a lot of traction, not just because of the brand that Kapil Sharma himself is, but also because of the kind of decor. And now I'll take you to the alley just behind this restaurant. It is actually here, and this is across the street. If you can just see that side of the road. Across the street is where the assailants seem to have come in a car and fired 8 rounds. And this caused damage to the property. And I'll just show you the glass shards that are lying over here. You can see the damaged property over here of Cap Cafe. The complete glass on one side has been shattered. 2 other pieces of, two other sets of windows have also been damaged. The restaurant is yet to start taking in patrons. So there was no patron at the time that this restaurant actually saw the shooting take place, but there was staff inside, and this has been confirmed by the Surrey police. They said that the staff was inside this place, and I'll give you a sneak peek from here, where you can see how this establishment actually looks like. The staff was inside this place, and it's not a very big cafe, as you can see. I don't know if you can make out that this is not a huge cafe. Now I can see some staff inside. However, the cafe is closed. It's not open. I can't reach any of the doors to open them. Clearly, the reason is understandable because of the situation that this place has faced. And you can see the damage there right behind me. So what happened was, as per the reports and as per the Surrey police, there were assailants who came and fired from across the street there. 8 rounds were fired, and the Surrey police has confirmed that they were targeting this particular establishment. No person was injured in the attack, but as you can clearly see, there has been damage to property. And though the Surrey police say that is being investigated, the matter is being investigated now by their frontline investigation support team to find out the motive of the attack and also to check and see whether this particular incident could be related to any incident in the past as well, any shootout or cases of extortion that have been reported from this area, especially amongst the business community. And while they say that they have not zeroed in on any suspect as of now, reports from India are suggesting that there could be a hand of Babbar Khalsa International in this. Meanwhile, let me also point out that this has been a concern in especially this area of Surrey, where there is a large South Asian community, that people have received, especially the businessmen, have received threat calls, extortion calls. So much so that the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, had said that he's going to write to Prime Minister Mark Carney, asking him to look into this issue. And he claims that there are some gangs that are operating out of India that are posing these threats to the business community, not just in British Columbia, but also in Ontario, is what he says. Parmeshwar.
Maha, as always, thank you so much for taking us through the latest details from Ground Zero. Maha Siddiqui there reporting from outside Cap's Cafe. This attack that she's reporting about comes close on the heels of a spate of extortions, racking the South Asian community in Vancouver and around. Earlier this month, the RCMP had charged 2 individuals with gun and arson offences in connection with a series of extortion attempts targeting business owners in Surrey last year. We'll keep tracking the latest from Canada for you. And staying with updates from there, let me also tell you that the US President Donald Trump has announced a 35% tariff on Canadian imports starting the 1st of August, citing that Ottawa had retaliated with tariffs against Washington. Trump said in his letter to Mark Carney, instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its own tariffs. He attributed fentanyl as a reason for the rate in the letter and said, and I quote, "If Canada works with me to stop the flow of fentanyl, we will perhaps consider an adjustment to this letter." But the 35% tariffs will be separate from all sectoral tariffs, Trump has said, threatening that the duty might be increased if Canada continues to retaliate. Meanwhile, Brazil threatened to hit back against Donald Trump's plan to introduce 50% tariffs on its exports, with its own 50% tariff on US goods, setting the stage for a trade war. Brazil could appeal to the World Trade Organization, propose international investigations, and demand explanations, Lula has suggested. But the main thing is a reciprocity law passed by Congress, he told Record, referring to recent legislation designed to defend Latin America's largest economy from tariff attacks. In other news, Mohammad Javad Larijani, who's a former senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, has suggested that US President Donald Trump could be attacked by Iran while sunbathing at his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Florida. Larijani has said Trump has done something so that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago, according to Iran International, and he further added, as he lies there with his stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit him in the navel. It's very simple. Trump in 2020 had ordered the killing of Qasem Soleimani, an Iranian major general who was killed in a US drone strike. The threat had been put to Trump in an interview on Fox News, who laughed it off. But the host asked him when he last went sunbathing. Trump replied by saying, "It's been a long time, I don't know. Maybe I was around 7 or so. I'm not too big into it." He also added, "I guess it's a threat. I'm sure it's not a threat. Actually, perhaps it is." But this comes 2 weeks after the US bombed Iran's nuclear and military facilities while interfering in Iran and Israel's 12-day war. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's hopeful of a hostage deal and it could happen in the coming days, but he's not backing down. Speaking in Washington, Netanyahu said Israel is ready for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, but only if Hamas surrenders its weapons and control of the territory. If talks fail, Netanyahu warned, we'll achieve our goals any other way, by force. However, as pressure keeps on simmering, the path to peace and victory continues to remain uncertain. Listen in to Netanyahu's remarks.
I think on these matters, which I always prefer to negotiate not in front of a camera, I think there's a good chance we'll have this ceasefire, and that'll get us closer to the goal that I set from the beginning. Let's get them all back without capitulation.
Let's turn our attention now to the US and India trade deal. Further talks on the India-US trade deal are lined up in the coming days, with negotiators once again heading to Washington as the government seeks to finalize an agreement without any deadline pressure. In fact, we're not differentiating between an interim or the first phase of the bilateral trade agreement. We're negotiating a complete deal. Whatever will be finalized, we can package it as an interim deal, an official has said days after Donald Trump announced that the US was close to making a deal with India. While Trump has been sending letters to countries setting revised reciprocal tariffs effective the 1st of August, as I mentioned, for Canada and Brazil, for example, India is so far not on the list. Let's turn our attention now to our neighborhood, to Nepal, where rescue efforts continue to evacuate people stranded in flood-hit areas after monsoon rains triggered a river flood in Rasuwa district that left 9 people dead and nearly 20 missing. At least 19 people, including 6 Chinese workers at the Beijing-aided inland container depot, remain missing in Nepal, which also washed away the Friendship Bridge that links Nepal and China. Trekkers, meanwhile, were seen navigating alternative routes as residents were seen unloading cargo from their damaged vehicles that were affected by the floods. But you know, the June-September monsoon causes massive floods and landslides in Nepal, which officials and experts say is vulnerable to effects of climate change, like extreme weather patterns, inconsistent rainfall, flash floods, as you can see on your screens, landslides, and glacial lake outburst floods too. In further updates from the neighborhood, Bangladesh witnessed over 2,400 incidents of communal violence over a span of 330 days from the 4th of August last year, when political unrest peaked, leading to the ouster of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League government, a minority advocacy group in the country has said. The minority communities faced 2,442 incidents of communal violence over a span of 330 days from the 4th of August 2024. This is what they've said. In other news, after spending more than 2 weeks aboard the International Space Station, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and his Axiom 4 crewmates are likely scheduled to return to Earth on the 14th of July, according to the latest update from NASA. Pallav Bagla has the lowdown, but first, listen to what NASA had to say in its latest remarks.
Of course, we're working with the station program, watching the Axiom 4 mission, carefully. Obviously, we need to undock that mission. I think the current targeted time is to undock around the 14th of July after the high beta period.
The American Space Agency, NASA, has announced that astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla's return journey to Earth will begin on July 14, 2025. Group Captain Shukla will undock from the International Space Station, then using the Crew Dragon named Grace by him, he will return to Earth and finally have a splashdown near the coast of California. The exact timings of the undocking and of the splashdown have not yet been announced. He has become the second Indian astronaut to travel to space after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma made that historic leap in 1984. Captain Shubhanshu Shukla made India proud, and the Axiom 4 mission, which is sometimes called Mission Akash Ganga, has really opened the frontiers of India doing research on microgravity. India now eagerly awaits the return of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla to Earth. In New Delhi, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.
The latest news and updates continue in a moment right after this very short commercial break. Do stay tuned.
Sleepless for sports. We are reloading sports NDTV style with the biggest comeback this season. India's OG sports journalist on India's #1 news network.
No games, just sports.
Sports coverage levels up with Boria Majumdar on NDTV.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. Russian forces pounded Ukraine overnight with hundreds of drones and missiles, targeting in particular the capital Kyiv, in an attack that followed President Donald Trump's increasingly sharp criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin and promised to restore arms deliveries to Ukraine. But the sound of low-flying drones and explosions from air defense systems could be heard for hours in sections of the capital as residents fled to the safety of subway stations, underground car garages, and what they hoped was safe spaces within their own homes. Well, let's switch tracks now. The number of videos online of child sexual abuse generated by artificial intelligence has surged as pedophiles have pounced on developments in the technology. You know, the Internet Watch Foundation has said AI videos of abuse had crossed the threshold of being near indistinguishable from real imagery and had sharply increased in prevalence online this year. In the first 6 months of 2025, this UK-based internet safety watchdog verified 1,286 AI-made videos with child sexual abuse material that broke the law, compared with 2 in the same period last year. Meanwhile, the UK and France agreed a deal aimed at curbing illegal crossings by boat. The one-in, one-out program will allow both countries to exchange migrants who cannot prove a family connection to the nation they entered, though the UN's migration chief has warned that such harsh tactics are less effective than supplying aid to countries that can host migrants. But virtually every Western country is now pursuing an immigration crackdown. The Netherlands passed legislation tightening asylum policies last week, and Germany recently boosted border controls. The United States, as you know, has ramped up immigration raids. Hindustan Unilever Limited has announced the appointment of Priya Nair as the Chief Executive Officer, the first woman to take up the role in the FMCG major. Ms. Nair takes up the role as incumbent Rohit Jawa steps down effective 31st of July. She's a veteran in the consumer goods industry, bringing nearly 3 decades of experience across building brands and driving category growth across geographies. She was previously the business group president of the beauty and well-being segment. A Russian sabotage campaign is gathering pace across Europe. Intelligence officials have warned 3 men were found guilty of arson in the UK this week for burning down a warehouse containing supplies for Ukraine. Prosecutors have said it was masterminded by Russian intelligence services. It's one of more than 70 similar incidents linked to Russia since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. And European officials warned that the campaign's use of untrained saboteurs increased the risk of injury or death. The US government will invest in the country's largest miner of rare earths as Washington looks to reduce its reliance on China in the critical sector. The Pentagon's 15% stake in MP Materials will make it the company's largest shareholder. The investment calls for the building of a new factory of rare earth magnets, which are needed for products like automobiles, wind turbines, and jets. Scuffed, scratched, and stained, this leather Birkin bag just sold for $10 million with fees, becoming the most expensive handbag to ever sell at auction. The hammer fell at a winning bid of $8.2 million. This is the first ever Birkin to have been created by Hermes. The bag was designed for the British actor and singer Jane Birkin. She, by the way, used it nearly every day from 1985 to 1994. before it became the ultimate symbol of luxury. 2 months after its last one, Bitcoin has once again hit an all-time high, crossing the $112,000 mark around 12:30 Eastern Time before reaching $113,804. But between the lines, you must note there aren't many Bitcoins available for regular people to buy right now, and the shrinking liquid supply is putting a floor on price. Several factors likely also have Bitcoin investors feeling bullish. Macro conditions are better than expected, with rate cuts looking more and more possible, and extra liquidity out there in the markets tends to accrue gains to Bitcoin. And Garry Kasparov's "Vishy's children are on the loose" statement is most talked about in the chess world. India has given the world the youngest chess world champion in Gukesh. A 3-year-old is now in 5 rankings, and a 9-year-old is drawing massive praise for holding the 5-time chess world champion to draw in blitz format. Here's how Vishy's children are dominating world chess.
Meet 9-year-old chess prodigy Kapil, the boy who nearly beat Magnus Carlsen a couple of weeks ago. The former world champion had called Gukesh a weak player. Following that, the world champion was on a Carlsen beating spree. To humiliate the 5-time world champion further, Gukesh's compatriot Kapil held the Norwegian to a draw in an online tournament called Early Title Tuesday. Tell us about that moment when you drew with Magnus.
I was very happy and I couldn't believe that I drew Magnus. I was very surprised which I drew. No, first I was thinking which I would lose, but then he gifted me some hope that his king is high, had some hope, and then he blundered.
At what point did you see that he's blundered and you pounced on?
I think queen at 7 and queen takes c7 was his mistakes, I think.
Arit played this event from his hotel room in Georgia, where he was battling for a podium finish in the Under-10 World Championship.
It could be a defining moment for him as far as the future is concerned.
Magnus Carlsen hates losing the most. For a chess player, it's everyone's dream to sort of fight against him. A career-defining moment, really, for chess players. And I think it comes down to one man, to Vishy Anand, really. You know, everything that he did. I mean, he was India's first world champion.
With 85 grandmasters, India is 5th in the world. And the growth of the ecosystem is credited to one man, OG of Indian chess, Vishwanathan Anand.
I think it was such a big part of his vision that there shouldn't just be one standout player, to have this golden generation which has been built on Anand's shoulders, because जब वो खेल रहे थे तब कोई इंडिया के लिए chess roadmap नहीं था. He kind of paved that path himself. We have the youngest world champion from India,
yes.
Gukesh at 18 becoming the world champion. I think Garry Kasparov, he summed it up the best, where he said that Vishy's children are on the loose.
So will an Indian challenge Gukesh in the next World Championship?
I will not be surprised, Rika, at all. I mean, you know, Prague looks like he's all set to make it to the candidates already.
Vishy's children, for now, are enjoying the tag of giant killers. In New Delhi, Rika Roy for NDTV.
Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest for you. Do stay tuned.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar. Both have sought time with Rahul Gandhi. When is that meeting going to happen is the big question. We'll keep getting you the very latest from Karnataka, and also we'll be getting you the latest when it comes to the tennis player who's died. It's her father who shot her, at least pulled the trigger 5 times over. It were 3 bullets that hit her in the back, and this is while she was cooking food. We'll get you details, but first, let's get you the headlines. Karnataka power tussle. The Chief Minister is here in the national capital. He's met with Mallikarjun Kharge, and now the meeting is going to take place within Siddaramaiah as well as Rahul Gandhi. DK Shivkumar also has sought time with Rahul Gandhi. When is that meeting going to take place? That is the big question. And it is actor, comedian Kapil Sharma's cafe that has been attacked in Canada. Khalistani terrorist has taken responsibility. We're talking about Harjeet Ladi, who claims that they targeted Kapil's cafe. Taunted for living off his daughter's earning. Well, this is tennis player's father who shot his 25-year-old daughter in the back while she was cooking food. He's gone on to confess that people used to keep taunting him for living off her money. And NDTV confronts Shinde's MLA Sanjay Gaikwad, asking tough questions there. Is NDTV's Shivarur, but the MLA runs away from that interview.
That is the true worth of this Shinde Sena MLA.
And Delhi High Court puts a stay on the release of the film Udaipur Fast just a day before its release, asking the centre to decide on revision against the CDFC certificate. 91 people have died and 34 people are believed to be missing due to the floods in Himachal Pradesh. Now, the IMD has gone on to say it's going to be raining over the next 6 days. There's an orange category warning in some areas of Himachal Pradesh over the weekend. Donald Trump slams, 35% tariffs on Canada. These are the tariffs that will take into effect. They're going to come into effect from the 1st of August. Canada chose to retaliate, and if Canada chooses to retaliate further, tariff will go up, is what Donald Trump has gone on to say. And there is an impact there. We're seeing the Canadian dollar slipping after Trump's attack. Let's get to your top story. That's Karnataka's power tussle that continues here in the national capital with multiple meetings with the High Command. We're talking about Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who met with Mallikarjun Kharge and has now sought a meeting with Rahul Gandhi. The big question is that DK Shivkumar also met with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. This was 2 days ago, and he also had sought time with Rahul Gandhi. So, this really comes at a time when Siddaramaiah has issued that firm no vacancy message, just on Thursday of that power struggle. And, speculations doing the rounds as to DK Shivkumar